a while since we've covered Sean Hannity on the show, but make no mistake, he still is pumping out propaganda at an almost historic pace, so I thought why not take a look at one of the recent segments he did and just, debunk some of the nonsense.
You have DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas saying FEMA's running out of money and going bankrupt? This has not been a busy hurricane season. This after the FEMA directed more than $1 billion to pay for housing and food for Harris-Biden illegal immigrants. Because this story looks really bad for Democrats in charge, they are trying to just outright lie to you and pretend this is misinformation. This is a deep fake statement by conservatives. Well, it's also on the FEMA website. It's completely truthful. It's completely real.
Okay, so, lot to cover here. First off, Mayorkas never said once they were going bankrupt. He said that due to House Republicans being unable to pass a budget that included FEMA disaster relief funding, he is unsure how far through the hurricane season that they will be able to operate at full capacity. He reiterated multiple times, however, that they have enough for the last hurricane, this upcoming hurricane, all these that they know will be coming at the moment, spreading this lie that could keep people from applying for aid that is available to them is evil, and it also disproportionately is affecting Republican districts, so I don't get why Fox is so self-defeating in this way. Mike Johnson also said that he wouldn't commit to bringing back the House to vote on hurricane relief, which Democrats and Biden are pushing for, so if it's so much of a worry from Republicans who are fear-mongering about this, why won't they vote to fix it? And what he's doing about, FEMA funds migrants, it's not a lie, it's on the website, is he's conflating two different programs in a disingenuous way just because they both fall under FEMA, and he knows he can mislead more ignorant people. For disaster relief, FEMA utilizes DRF funding, which is the $750 payments, along with funding for housing assistance, food, etc. This uses a certain kind of funding, tax funded. For migrants, however, there is shelter and services protection, or programs, which is funded through grants from border protection. So no, money isn't being diverted from disaster relief to immigration. It's two different funds, two different funding methods. However, it is important to note that Donald Trump actually diverted $300 million from disaster relief to programs on the southern border.
As panic over poll numbers start to set in, the Harris campaign, that's the only reason they're sending Kamala on this media blitz with friendly outlets, CBS, Colbert, The View, Call Her Daddy podcast. Let's see. Howard Stern. We can't forget about Howard Stern's interview because she sat down earlier with the former once great shock jock. I don't know, he's a shadow of his former self. What the hell happened to Howard? Will the real Howard ever one day come back? Sadly, now himself is an erotic, woke.
Howard Stern refused to grift for MAGA and Trump, so now they hate him and think he's terrible. This is translation to what he actually means with that weirdly long rant about Howard Stern, and he goes on even longer if you watch the full segment, but I had to add this in because it's kind of funny, isn't it? They chastise Kamala for not doing interviews, saying she's scared and panicking and that's why she won't do them, which is, of course, while she's setting up campaign infrastructure, her agenda, and planning for the DNC, but now that those are out of the way and she's doing interviews regularly, it's because of panic. Yet again, no coverage on Trump refusing the 60 Minutes interview, CNN, MSNBC, only doing Fox News, which is friendly to him, not answering hostile questions. It's two different standards, and they don't even care to hide it. Kamala is up in national polling, and there's not a single swing state poll that's outside of the margin of error, so it's not really pertinent to look at those anyway, and she's up in multiple of them also, so I don't get where this idea of panic is coming from. It has about as much bearing in reality as the 2020 election being stolen does.
In fact, most things in America are up over 20%, and while it doesn't seem to matter to the multi-millionaires giving softball interviews to Kamala Harris, these price hikes are like a massive hidden tax for most American families, many of which are putting bare necessities on credit cards. But again, as she said on The View, there's not a thing she would have done differently.
Oh, these are like mind-numbingly stupid talking points. Prices started shooting up under Trump. In fact, the largest single-year increase in prices outside of a recession happened under Trump in 2020. And Kamala is the only one with the plan to address this. She wants to enact FTC penalties on corporations' price gouging, which we know is central to these heightened prices, while Trump wants to do a 20% flat tariff that would only massively raise consumer prices even past where they are today. And why would she do things differently? America has by far had the greatest and fastest recovery from COVID in the world. You would think that true patriots would want to applaud that and push that, hey, like America did this so much better than every other country, but of course, because it's Democrats and Republicans put party over country, they can't do that. I mean, our inflation is lower, our wages are higher, GDP is higher, job growth is better, and we got here quicker than any other nation. It was a historic turnaround, and these people never talk about what Trump could have done differently had he been in office, like when they bring this stuff up, because there is nothing. This was a global issue that was handled really well by the Democratic administration.